Karia.
I mean, it's about time, right? But they didn't just get to the late game. They got there with a whole bunch of eliminations right there, pulling out a dozen. We talked about how they pretty much needed to double their performance and then some at the top of the show, right, Neptura? And I mean, I don't think you could have asked for a better start, right?
No, 100% not. Such good numbers coming out of them. And APG as well. I had them slated to win the whole thing. Y'all didn't. It was, it was on the edge. It was off in the swamp. It wasn't looking particularly good, but, it wasn't a win. But they came out with a much better performance. And is it not a win? It's not a win, but it's a top 4 and a solid top 4 that sets the tone for the rest of the day. Fingers crossed.
Hey, we'll take those all day. You know what? I want to kind of go back to the start of the game, right? We did see that hot drop with Alpha 7 and our everybody, right? Are you kidding me? I mean, talk about a run for the MVP of the tournament here, Max, right?
I mean, I know why he's called sitting. He's just seeing everyone like right now. You're not playing this game. The guy is an absolute beast. And to be completely honest, when looking at players from PL that I was paying attention to, I was looking mainly for this team at, of course, you got King and you got AJ. Those are the two that I'm like, okay, these guys, they can cook, they can step up, they can Yang Tashol. But here this time around, though, it clearly is sitting. And they are sitting pretty. 100 points. And right now, I did a little bit of calculation. Wow. Of course, it's not great math. 120 points, you're pretty much 100% sure to go in the top 7 in the grand finals. They're already just 20 points away. What are we doing?
Wow. Yo, that's what is that? A 59-point difference from the Xavier here? That is absolutely, wild. I did not expect Thunder Talk to pop off this crazy, Neptura, but man, did they show up. It was good to see some other teams as well put some numbers on the board. I want to look and see a big mover and shaker. It's got to be Regnum Karia, right? Where were they at the start of the day? They're in 9th place here, Neptura?
Yeah, they were 13th, I think it was. So they've really stepped up now to where they're only 5-6 points away from a top 7. So if they keep this consistency, it doesn't have to be, crazy top 3s all the time. But if they keep making the extremely calculated plays that we saw in the run this game, the rest of the games are going to be so easy for them because we know what they can do. We saw glimpses of it yesterday. We've seen more of a sneak peek of it today. We just need little bit more consistency. Just bring it more and more and more because that calculation of this team is what's going to put them on the map.
Oh, looking at the player stats here, Amori destroying my initial prediction of this game of E-Arena. E-Arena sitting it 1-1, and clearly that was abused by Amori. He was able to capitalize on that mistake and able to get himself multiple 1v1 clutches for himself. So very, very well executed on his end. And looking, of course, at AJ here in terms of utility, chucking a lot of it all over the place, allowing to make those transitions happen for his team. But of course, Jing, the man himself, able to also do something similar. Team throwables used. So yeah, the utility used by Thunder Talk is the main reason why they were able to survive this entire game, right? The smokes, the grenades in particular, to zone out, for example, APG on the cliffside was just paramount for them to make that movement happen in the first place.
Yeah, it's what I love, using their nades as well towards Ulf as well, right? Because what I love is when a team understands that a nade doesn't have to do damage to be effective. It's just there to displace or to keep away. So if you're trying to zone out a team and keep them in their circle, just chuck nades at them. They won't be able to move. You're not doing any damage, but you're keeping that control. And that's what Thunder Talk seem to really understand, is that those nades, they don't have to do any damage to be effective.
I wonder, does that include emergency cover flares? I feel like it, because I do want to see emergency cover flares of Thunder Talk.
Huge.
Not the best, though. Not huge, actually. I would say they were not great. They were throwing them in positions where they really leverage much out of the item itself. I want to see them try and use it as a leapfrogging tool instead of a more defensive tool. It makes sense earlier on in the game, in the mid-game stage, but when they were pushing on Ulf, I think if they throw them forward, that transition would have been even smoother. Of course, they still won it and kept everyone alive.
They could have won better, though.
If I had to criticize one thing, it would be just that. But otherwise, the rest was just absolutely perfect from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, there's always those little tiny little tweaks that you could make, right? And one of the tweaks that I'm really starting to get a little bit concerned about, right? I mean, right off the rip here is because when you have a team like, this is what we were talking about at the start of the show, Max, right? We knew that a lot of these big names were going to perform today, right? Regnum Karia said, we're doing it right off the rip, okay? For a team like OG, right, which was playing very calculated, consistently putting up points on the board, right? I think we're gonna need to see at least a couple of big games from them if we want to see them in the top 7. Do you think that that's right, or what do you think OG needs to do here?
I mean, I would agree. Orangutan, you know what I want to see from Orangutan? I want to see a bloody chicken dinner, okay?
Yes,
it's about
right?
time. They keep surviving into the late game. I think yesterday they had a bit of an issue where in the first 2 games, it was just a solo. It was AKOP and it was, who was it after that? It was Aru on the Erangel game, surviving as a solo. If we see more of that, but they survive as a trio, as a full squad, there's definitely a win potential there for me to see coming out from Orangutan. So Niptura, do we think we're going to see an OG win?
I hope so, and I think they will absolutely get the win if...
not hope so. It's a yes or no.
Sorry.
What's happening?
It's yes.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because, and I'll tell you why. Because the main difference between how they normally play and what they're doing now is they're spreading out on the edge. That's typical for OG, right? They're using their terrain, they're spreading out a little bit, they're trying to get control, but they're not backing it up. They're taking the position, and then the moment somebody comes towards them, they're kind of like, we'll try and defend, but they're not going forward and going, actually, this is our spot. You know, where is the confidence that we saw in the interview of, well, if APG want to drop our location, then they're free to do that. We want to see that same energy coming into the end game when they go, this is our position, we're going to set it up like this, and also we're going to back it up with some shots. It doesn't have to be elims. But I want to see more presence from him in the end game because the setup is good, but they're just falling down on converting anything into a, oi, stay away.
Yeah, I do feel bad for OG though, because that play of Rengan Kario was just beautifully executed. It's really hard to fight back in that kind of situation. But actually, just to go on another team I want to see some improvements from, I'm going to go on DRX, and I'm going to blame Marzi in particular, okay? If you're listening to this, I know he's doing a watch party. Why did you pick DRX? Okay, he is the true boss master in India. And DRX, genuinely one of my favorite teams. For me, there was no doubt in my mind DRX were going to have a banging performance in the Gauntlet and instantly make it to the finals. But no, they started off the day in 11th position, and I believe now they're in 15th after this first rondo.
Yeah,
DRX, we're almost at the halfway point, Hot Jukes. We need to see more from DRX. They've done nothing so far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is, this is my concern, right? Is that with so many big names on the second half of the leaderboards, if any of these teams like DRX do what we just saw Regnum Karia did, right? 18 points, they're in the running for top 7, right? So I think for a team like DRX, though, hey, get it done now. You know what I'm saying? You do not want to wait till the last is for sure. So for DRX, so many of these squads, I think the pressure's on big time here, Neptera, to perform right here, right now.
100%, because we're getting closer now. It's game 2 after game 3 way done, and that's where it's really going to start. You're going to start getting that pressure coming in. You're going to start going, we only have a set amount of games left. All of that stuff's going to start happening to you. So it really is now or never, Jukes.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You know, I'm kind of going to go on the other side of that point you were talking about earlier. You know, when it comes to OG, right? I think that their performance is very impressive for a squad that it's their first PMGC. You know, I think they've done a lot to be in the position they're in. You know, I think that getting a chicken dinner right now, from what I've seen so far, is going to really depend on them getting a circle position, right? If they're in a dominant hill spot, they get the zone lock, I think they're winning that game all day long, right? I think we're yet to see them be able to pull out a chicken dinner from what you're talking about, like from that edge style play, like we saw Thunder Talk do, right? Play edge, take out every single squad, right? Hopefully we can see them build up to that, but I think the best case scenario for OG here is if they do get that circle, they got to capitalize it like there's no tomorrow. And then hopefully just be, once they get that chicken dinner, right, be like, we can do it, right? We've done this before. Yeah. And that's something that's really hard to cross, Max, right? Because pretty much everybody in this lobby has won a chicken dinner at PMGC before, right? At least once.
They're all very experienced for sure. But Orangutan dropping in shelter, actually, you got some pretty decent rotational paths. And by the way, we're looking at them right now. These jackets from OG, like, I want one. Can we get one of those, please? I want one of the jackets. But no, really, Orangutan, the way they're playing, it's I'm having a Ratatouille moment when it's taking me back to, you know, the World League years and years ago. You know, when Orange Rock were there, TSM Entity were there, you know, popping off on the global stage. We're getting back. We're getting a taste of that once again at PMGC. So we'll see if they can perform once again. Though, I'm going to take this opportunity here, guys, and the conversation onto a big talking point here. GS Team APG. It kept happening. No?
Yeah.
Going into Novo military, into North Carolina military base, Jafar in particular had a massive clutch at the end to wrap up versus APG. Are we going to see that continue if we have a Southern Plane, or are we going to see APG maybe change things up if they are going to be clashing versus GS? What are we thinking?
Man, I hope so. I actually, no, I hope we don't, right? And the reason why is because, you know, we saw GS hot drop right off the rip, game number 1 of Aaron Gale, right, Neptura? And then in 2 games, they didn't hot drop. And I think that was mostly to the fact that that plane path was heading more towards Severny for them, their secondary drop location. Do you think, Neptura, that because, I mean, it worked for them, right? I think GS did a lot better when they didn't have to do that hot drop, right? So I think maybe their coach or Neptura, you're the coach of GS, okay, right now. Put it on the coach chat, right? If you were their coach, what would you tell them going into Aaron Gale here for
I wouldn't hot drop. I'd be like, look at the results we got as staying full squad through most of the match, getting much farther into the match as a full squad versus when we hot drop, and yeah, we get some early elims, but now we've got a really long rotation to make. So through the blue, all of this sort of stuff, everybody's already set up. That would not be my play. I'd be just like, no, you guys, we gotta switch things up, go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Max, you're the coach of APG. What would you do?
Hot drop, because I think, on a very serious note, it would be extremely funny. That's my analysis, because for the memes, go for the hot drop. But no, generally, I would like to see it not happen on a serious note, because it just doesn't help the team. So hopefully they can fix it, Hot Jukes. It's in particular APG, because they can't afford another bad day here. They need to step up. They need to make military base their own.
Let's make it happen as we take it on over to John Allen and Blank for match number 2.
They've got strategy. They're not just doing it randomly, and they've got ideas. And so for a team like Alpha 7, who are obviously a very good team, but have just been struggling lately, it's nice to see that we're actually seeing a team that is like, no, we're on the ball with these rotations. We're on the ball with this timing. Yeah. It's very hopeful.
What I'm really hopeful about is not just the rotational potential of this team, right? I mean, especially for you, Hodrix, covering Americas, but it's so cool seeing the rise of Guizhou and Obscure on this storied roster, on this storied org of Alpha 7. And last game on Rondo in particular, oh my goodness, they put up such a great showing versus RA. And even I think there was a potential third party happening from APG and Virtus Pro in the wings, and they were fully ready for that. So this is Alpha 7 2.0, and I'm here for it. This storyline we're seeing built up in front of our very eyes here in the Gauntlet stage is beautiful. And this is Brazil stepping up with a new generation of top tier players that are here to claim a trophy on the global stage.
I mean, you heard Rebel say it himself in the interview with Seven, right? He was just like, you know what? I think they already surpassed me. And it's crazy to see just how well these other players are doing, right? Just kind of looking at some of the player stats, right? Obscure, yesterday, he got 10 eliminations, 12 knocks. The player below him, Guizhou, with 5 eliminations and 4 knocks, right? Carrillo had 4. Revel had 3 eliminations, right? So Obscure more than doubled that of his the second teammate, and that's Guizhou, right, Max? So I mean, Alpha 7, we know what these guys are capable of. We saw it in Arrogale, right? They love that rotating to the hard shift side, kind of what we just saw Regnum Karia do in this last match, right? They did that, ended up doing that twice, got a good game under their belts. So when it comes to Alpha 7, I just think it's about just waking up on that consistency. I want to see that a little bit more aggressive Alpha 7 here, Neptura, because I see them just kind of playing a little bit more calculated rather than that hyper aggressive Alpha 7 they're kind of known for.
Exactly. And you know what? I want to extend that point to the rest of the lobby, actually, because if we look at each team individually, a lot of them, there's very few teams in this lobby that actually play compactly, that actually play very much together, you know, kind of off to their own. Many of these teams spread out and take control from the other teams. And I want to say that so far in the Gauntlet stage, we've not really seen that. None of them have been playing how I expected them to play. We're not seeing the A7 spread out into the end game, you know, 4 or 3 players and just, you know, eating up as much of that zone as possible and controlling it, taking it away from other teams. Kara are not doing it. OG are not doing it. Regnum, we only saw them kind of do it in this game. So I want to say some of that is due to everybody's kind of tiptoeing around each other just a little bit. They're still trying to get a feel for how the lobby is going to be played. But the other half is these zones. I don't feel like any of these zones have been particularly favorable to most of these teams, because even if a zone does go towards a certain team, normally it's one compound in the middle of a field and it's kind of very play. So I want to see maybe either, you know, kind of take these bad zones and run with it as much as possible, or just relax a little, just play how you normally play, because that is historically how you get a win.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Take me back to Raheem. We had a Pachinki circle finish. You know what?
Dude,
give me some of that spiciness. You know, that would be really fun if that happened. You're going to need Xavier to perform potentially. But yeah, circles have been a little bit very open-ended, I would say. They're not ending on any big POI. We didn't see that really happening yesterday, especially the one next to us ended in nothingness. And you could see the ring. I think you had Alpha 7 just like, there's literally no terrain to work with. How do we work with this kind of terrain at the end of the game? I'm hoping we do get some like more city or compound centric finishes. I think that's going to show a lot of rotational potential from teams. Who's going to get there first? Who's going to play defensively? Who's going to be trying to initiate those crashes? I want to see a bit more variety on our angle, because on day one, Hodrix, I would have to say, was a bit one note to me. So I want to see more variety from some of these teams, depending on, of course, how the circle tends to go.
Yeah, I think we're going to definitely see that here in day 2. I think we did already in Rondo, right? We saw some of the squads that did underperformed yesterday go nuts. So I'm expecting just absolute craziness here in Arrogale, because every team knows kind of how the end of these tournaments go, right? There's going to be quite a few squads that are going to be so far down the leaderboards that they don't have any chance of making it to the top 7 here, Max, right? So when that happens, typically, the last few matches are not typical of what the whole tournament was like, right? The teams that know that they're not going to make it are playing super loose. Maybe they go crazy, start pushing everybody, or they're just like, hey, you know what? I'll see you guys in the group stage. We'll make something happen from there, right? So I think considering that, Max, teams more than ever just realize how important it is to put points up here and now rather than waiting to the end of the game, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's going to be changed up quite significantly into this. But I want to go a little bit deeper on what you said about the later stages of the Gauntlet change significantly, Hodgix, because I think it brings up a very interesting scenario where, because you need to be in top 7, right? It's very forgiving if you're in, let's say, top 3 in last 2-3 games of tomorrow. Like if you're looking at Thunder Talk, Mad Balls, R8, maybe Orangutan. Are we going to see a situation, because you would be so comfortable, that you can kind of ruin the opportunity for teams down below? Yes, I am talking about potential hot drops, just as a theory. Here, just to have a conversation. Orangutan, if they're very comfortable in top 7 heading into tomorrow's last few games, and Alpha Gaming are still struggling, do you get rid of them to clear up that position for the grand finals? Technically, that wouldn't be a bad shout.
I don't think so. I don't think so, right? I mean, that's the thing.
She's so silent. She fully agrees with my point. Thank you.
It's a hard one for me because I don't normally love that tactic. For a couple of different reasons. I don't feel like it really does all that much, because if a team is, yes, if it's like, you know, a few points away, whatever, but I don't always love it. But then we're always talking about teams that are further below trying to ruin, you know, some potential chances for teams a few places ahead of them, where here I think in this instance you're talking the other way around, right? It could work. It could, you know, just try and solidify their dominance in certain situations, right? It's like, you know, we're gonna hot drop you in Chumacera again because you're not doing well, and we want to make sure that going into the finals you're not gonna drop here again. That could be something that might be worth the effort, because otherwise I just don't really see the point.
Yeah, I'm mainly talking for the fact of clearing up a drop location for the finals. I think it's definitely a long-term incentive to do it. For example, you can also, I brought up OG and APG because it's the funny meme one to bring up right now, right? But otherwise, GS team, I think a lot of teams want to try and get rid of them, such as maybe APG if they're able to climb up the rankings a bit. Alpha 7, Wolves want to try and get rid of them. Maybe even GK because of their Rondo drop location. Again, that's dependent on what the leaderboards look like entering into tomorrow's 6 matches. So yeah, definitely you got to keep in mind that if you're not comfortable going into day 3, you could be in a little bit of trouble, because if you are sharing a drop location, chances are that team does not want to share it going into the finals, where again, you're fighting for the lion's share of $3 million prize pool. So I would backstab some people for that. Hell yeah. Maybe not you guys.
That's a lot of money.
You guys. You're safe.
You know, a lot of money on the line here. And you know what's typical? You know, I honestly, this is one of my biggest pet peeves about competitive PUBG Mobile, right? Is we don't normally see squads like do these crazy drops towards the end, right? Which is what I would do, because I'm like, hey, why not, right? We got such a huge lead. We could do whatever the heck we want. But for some reason, they continue to play the kind of like the same game they've been playing, right? But one thing that I think really makes a big difference, Neptura, is if you want to take out a squad, you could just say, let's go ahead, and if we get into a fight with them early on, hey, we could just make sure they go out. We could take them out no matter what here towards the end. So I think those mid-game fights, things can get a lot spicier, Neptura.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? You want to take a team out on rotation? Absolutely. That's minimal risk to yourself and all the damage onto them. I would love something like that for that to happen.
Well, let's see what's going to happen here in match number 2. First air gale of the day. Let's take it on over to John and Blake for match number 2.
And you know what that plane means. We are heading into match 8 of our 18 match set here. And day 2 will continue to unfold. We put the recall beacons to rest. Don't worry, if you're not a fan, you're not going to be seeing them here on Erangel. We are going to be back to basics here. So APG, you can't be losing all your players right at the start of the match. That's a free bit of advice. I won't bill you for it.
Very well done. It's good advice as well. Necessary advice on a map with no recalls. But we are heading from the western side, direct south plane path from the north down towards Ferry Pier. A little bit more difficult to head over towards the eastern side of the map, but Alpha 7 getting up nice and early over towards the, I guess you could call it a slight Zaki North George split that I like to go for here. R8 also out early. R8 consistently being in the vicinity of Alpha 7. Seems like there's a bit of a grudge match going on there. And Thunder Talk dropping very, very close over towards OG on the north side.
That is potentially dangerous for OG. Thunder Talk at the top of the tables. We've seen what they can do. Although, at the moment, OG are a little bit isolated from them in Severny. It may be that Thunder Talk try and grab a vehicle, head out to the east coast here. getting stuck into a fight in Taverny this early on without the circle being confirmed, especially now, Blank, because we've got a military circle. Yeah, immediately, there's the vehicle icon. On you go. That might mean that the hot drop on the south side might get a little bit more intense, but it is going to be a military island circle here. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point.
GS lets you dropping down towards the southwest here instead of dropping on military base. So APG should have this all to themselves. Wolves, you can see here, getting themselves into vehicles and maybe moving across. But that is a heck of a lot of teams already on Sosnovka this early, sort of predicated by the fact that the plane path was so southern. And on the western side, you have to split across the entirety of the map. And that includes the South Island. So quite fortuitous for teams like EK as well as Virtus Pro, who don't normally drop down in this position. They get a really good head start, but also that makes crossing on the western side quite difficult. And I think for Wolves, this is a somewhat of, I might call it a mistake. I think they were so close towards that south side that maybe they should have shifted over towards the east, understanding that was a little bit of an easier one to go for. We do have an in-game interview coming up shortly, but in the meantime, we're going to keep focused on the map here. I think Kara makes the correct play. Currently, they're rotating on the east bridge, and I think that's the smarter play here. There's going to be a lot more space to work with going forward for themselves, rather than get themselves mixed in with Virtus Pro as well as GS.
Let's head over to the stage for an interview with Reckon Kaya.
Welcome back to a quick report with the 7WG. This time I'm joined by the PMGO winner, Silas from Regnum Karya. Silas, yesterday's performance was very lackluster. What was the main thing that you guys changed from yesterday to today?
Valla bugünkü performans pek iyi değildi. Dünden bugüne ne değiştirdiniz?
Aslında gün yeni başladı. Neyin değiştiğini gün ilerledikçe göreceğiz. Rondo'yu biraz çalıştım. Bireysel olarak gezdim. O yüzden bu maçı güzel oynadık.
So it's just the starting of the day, so we will see later what we change. But I personally actually studied Rondo personally, so we will see what's going to happen.
And talking about Rondo, I mean, Thunder Talk getting their back-to-back win. They win the last game yesterday. They win this one. Is that a team that is also causing you issues, maybe going into Erangel?
Valla Rondo'da Thunder Talk güzel oynadı dün de bugün de. Sizi zorluklar çektirdi. Gelecekte çıkarabilecek mi daha?
Yani havaya alışma. İlk gün havaya alıştık diyelim. İkinci gün çok fazla, yani bugün çok zorluk çekeceğimizi sanmıyorum. Bugün daha çok alışacağız. Sonraki gün daha çok alışacağız. Finale çıkarsak da tam bir şekilde hakkını vereceğiz.
Yesterday it took us to get used to the Rondo, but right now we will practice more onto it and make it better. And if we can make it to final, we will redeem it.
All right, well, I'm hoping the performance here in Erangel coming up is going to be good. Back to you guys.
Well, there you go. We heard a lot from Reckon Kaya, but we heard a lot from GS in the picture-in-picture, if you guys were keeping track of that. They clean wiped Virtus Pro just then. That's pretty great. Big fan of that. And Reckon Kaya, they're going to go into the drink for a swim too.
Virtus Pro going out like that, fairly unfortunate, I would say, but very, very well done. Really, really big plays there. And that clears out a lot of space for them as well on the map, especially because they were down towards Sosnovka quite early. Going down in 6th place as well gives a lot of opportunity for teams like DX, GS, Wolves to overtake them and push them out of the top 7 now going forward. In the meantime, we've Alpha 7 on a long approach from shooting range all the way down here, but so many teams already making that cross early on. Regan Kaya also making the swim, but so many vehicles will already be taken here because there were so many teams on Sosnovka early that Regan Kaya likely for the rest of the game will be moving around on foot.
Yeah, it's very picked clean. You're right. It's just the bones left on that north side of the Sosnovka Island. We'll see what they can do, though. They may be able to nab 1 or 2 if they're lucky. If they can get close enough, we'll have to wait and see. E-Arena, they're going for the bow take to the south side. This is going to potentially here. There's no one really overlooking this beachhead on that south edge. The rear duo for E-Arena as well. Their teammates fairly soon. The Wolves managed to get through nice and early onto the military island. They've crashed into the compound on the south side, southeast point of the military island. Now, a lot of teams have made it, but there are a few who haven't. R8 actually that southeast coast is going to be lined with landmines for them to step on if they try and make their way in there. Wolves now in for a fight with GS potentially. GS were able to win it out against Virtus Pro. Will the Wolves, who are just behind them on the tables, be able to do what Virtus Pro could not?
I mean, for Wolves, there's, again, I think they have a similar issue to Virtus Pro where we're not seeing them respect a lot of sidelines in these matches. That's the thing that worries me, is that, yes, the gameplay.
If you own assets in the UAE, you need
From the initial moment, you know, the 4-man split was weird. And then getting further into the game, I was like, okay, there is a 4-man. This doesn't look too bad. But yeah, it ended up being quite disappointing, honestly. But we'll wait and see. I mean, they get to start in the melee base this time. No contest, other than Regnum Karya, I guess, who are hiding over on that north side, just trying to live this game out as long as possible. Mainly trying to find some set of wheels, basically, Joe.
That is kind of the name of the game for Regnum Karya right now. If they could pinch one, I'm sure that Alpha Gaming have on board, that would be brilliant, but position being known there. We've seen this from Alpha 7 in the past, Blank. They've taken to the skies. They are going to be heading over in the glider around on the east point here of Novo, trying to stay out of render distance of everybody else. Looks like they will be able to for just a little bit longer. Very dangerous place to land, though, because Kara have outposts all over. You've got to think they're going to spot this, and if they don't, somebody else will.
I mean, Kara absolutely should be able to look at this one, but you can also see that Alpha 7 is currently trying to play out a render distance as much as possible here. You can see that Obscure and Guizao is going very, very wide here, down towards the south side. I think they're trying to look for a point where they can make their way in, but the amount of teams that are littered along the southern coast, I think it's going to be hard to find a runway and land here. I think most likely it's going to be a crash landing from Alpha 7 in the near future.
I mean, you just don't expect the north side of Novo to be open, right? Like, it should be landing there if you have a map feed up like we do, but that's really difficult to call. The swim as well for Revo and Carrillo, that might draw the attention of Kara. It could prompt a little relocation, but Alpha 7, I mean, I'm seeing them approach from the south side in that glider. Wolves are going to take shots. GS are going to take shots. This is going to get nasty.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing watching like high-level gameplay at an international scale, because everyone has the same idea. I mean, they were able to get up. Egos only have the pump shotgun, gets a little bit of damage done, but there isn't any backup right now, which is not ideal. Luckily, able to find one with the angle off on the side from Coops, and that's Revo going down. Now just Obscure remaining as they all crash into this one. There should be a quick cleanup for them. But yeah, I think that it's interesting looking at an international level. Everyone has the exact same idea, is that the south side is where most teams are going to make their cheeky rotate through. So everyone litters down there because they all assuming that each other are going to make that same maneuver. The only team that actually falls prey to it is Alpha 7, but alas, they were coming in from a long, long way away. Again, no sign of Thunder Talk just yet. They're still traveling like Frodo Baggins right now on their way to Sosnovka.
There and back again. Goodness me. They are really going to have to get in fairly soon, because it's getting to be the blue zone's going to hurt a lot. They started obviously in Stalber. They were slowly rotating down. Also, R8 was struggling to make their way on through as Alpha Gaming seemed to have spotted Regnum Karya making their way on foot. And unfortunately, I think Regnum Karya, they've lost a player there. Far from ideal. And they'll be playing on as 3. Still fairly split and still very, very slow.
Yeah, I think for Regnum Karya, it's a rough one. I mean, I think what you have to do there is commit a little bit earlier to an eastern crossing. I don't think that the swim is that bad, but under the assumption the circle is so far off towards that east side that it's likely going to center up on observatory, which it is currently doing, by the way. So we were correct in that assessment. I think that you have to risk the eastern crossing as opposed to trying to play on the beachhead and the three building compounds around that area. I think that's what Regnum Karya are trying to go for. It's a very European approach, I'll say it that way. But I think in this instance, it's not correct.
Yeah, maybe different decisions to be made in the future, but military circles always fun.
Oh my god!
GK getting the shift. Oh,
there they are.
I think I've spotted what you've noticed. They're on the map blank. It's Thundertalk on the North Bridge, and Orangutan are going to be holding them out. The circle goes still towards GK's favor on that observatory mountain. But let's take a look at this bridge camp, because the health bars on Thundertalk are going to be low here. They step out, and immediately the first goes. The next as well, looking for the spray down. The backup from across the way as well is good. 2 players now stand for Thundertalk, and the blue zone is hurting.
I think the craziest thing about this is that OG expects the team to be rotating at stage 4 into the circle on the eastern side. I mean, it's a great pickup. It really, really is. But fantastically done. I mean, Aru's on the ball here, waiting for Thundertalk to approach, and that is the top squad going down to 1 player from OG. Very, very well played. And now they can figure out how they want to move down, because you'd assume at this point for OG that there isn't going to be another team tailing Thundertalk. If they were, it's likely Thundertalk would have had to have fought a little bit earlier out on the coastal side, in which case OG would have heard it. So this is great in terms for OG for clearing that northern edge, understanding that now they can push south without worrying about their 180. So very smart.
They managed to take 2 players down, but there is still a little bit of life in Thundertalk, and you can't count them out. A big flex out came through from Orangutan, from OG, both sides, WizGod and Atanki, moving into position to try and pick up the scraps on the last 2 players. They couldn't find the angle. Thundertalk able to keep it under control for their final 2 players. And this is so open because of all of the teams moving to that south side. It's what you were talking about earlier. Because of the teams all putting pressure down south, that ability to move is what OG have capitalized on there well on that north side. Now, on the south side, though, it's going to get mucky because the Wolves have to leave the cliff side. They're moving off, and they've already been slowed down. They've lost Batten. Doran needs a res. Coops is pulling him back to his feet, and you can't spend too long out here. The blue zone really starting to hurt now.
Yeah, basically instantly have to get that bandage off. And I think for Wolves, it's pretty much over. I think Kara set up a really, really nice lineup here across the hillside. I think that Wolves is pretty much gone. Egos is likely to go down as well. At this point, Kaido, it's one of the situations where do you just deny the point? Lewis picks up Doran. And now Thundertalk with their 2 players look to put a little bit more hurt over towards OG. But I don't think that's happening.
Ooh, spray down, King spotted. And Atanki able to clock the shot. AJ last to stand, and OG have only got 1 more domino to fall to take down the top cogs. Spray around the corner, not quite fully connecting, but it's going to do enough, and it will be closed down. The roll down on the crates as well. OG want the spoils of victory. Pulling that into the back pocket, they'll clean out the north side.
Yeah, that's clean. Very, very clean. So now OG has a huge amount of control over the north. Doc moves up, does get shut down by Mad Bulls, but R8 is still having presence within this engagement. Reefus seems to be the last player alive here for APG. The DPS should do the trick as Lemon weaves in and out of the blue there. But now R8 look to weave a very different picture for Mad Bulls, one of dread and ruin as they move over the hillside.
Trying to push in on the western edge. The route out of that military base is treacherous. R8, they're going to fold back, look to res Marth. Mad Bulls disengaged. They're sending across, heading towards DRX and the remnants of DX Savior as well, closer towards the middle. We're not going towards the mountaintop this time around, Blank, though. It is going to go down south towards GS and towards this ridgeline that we're seeing being fought over fraughtly by Kara, who are keeping their nerves together here. 7 elims already.
It's definitely not easy for Kara, the movements they've had to make, the decisions they've had to go through, but they've done well. I mean, Ulf is definitely their biggest target in the future over on that eastern side, but even they are sort of held out by the angles from GK. Now, the circle does move away from GK on that observatory, so they need to find as much information as possible, decide where they're going to end up in the future, because they have to move now, and it's always difficult getting off from the top of observatory. Mad Bulls somehow stay alive with their 2 players, get to the south south side of this compound that currently DRX are holding. And I think for DRX, a lot of fans are hoping they do well in this game because it has been a pretty abysmal start from yesterday for DRX. A lot of games where they're just not able to get through that mid game whatsoever. And I think that has been the most worrying thing from watching them is that mid game. It's just a lack of life from that squad.
Getting through that mid game, always treacherous, and it's where you earn the majority of your points on the tables, right? It's getting past those mid game situations that starts to earn you those incremental 4-5 extra points that you need per match to really sit up and amongst the top dogs. DXavier trying to hold a sliver of a ridgeline. You can see there's players above them as well from Ulf. That is a really tough spot, but I think DXavier are going to be safe for quite a while. Geeke actually more likely to pull the trigger on a fight here.
I mean, Geeke needs to find something. I mean, down towards Ulf is likely their best bet, right? They can still play high ground angle and then try and sweep down towards that south side. OG has met little resistance, and DRX actually moves off from that northern position on the compound as OG appears. So this is a very, very sneaky moment from OG to be able to get into the circle and then find themselves a strong position off the back of that as well. The question is whether RA's been watching this rotate and if they'll be able to find some shots over towards them. But again, so far it has been some fairly well calculated decisions from OG.
I wonder if Ragnarok thinks he's cleared that angle there against Sakura. Did have a good old look there, spotted the horse, but didn't see a leg, didn't see an ankle or anything peeking out. Geeke, they got to take shots over towards Ulf and back them off the angle. Actually, Ulf putting more pressure in towards the middle. Nice stuff, nice find, but that could all come a cropper if GS takes shots out their way, if Ragnarok has his say as well.
I'm very impressed that it's actually not R8 that takes shots over towards OG. It's OG taking shots to R8, actually finding a Mori here. And they don't have a lot of time to pick him up because the circle is in closing. Now R8's put in a very, very difficult position where OG knows at least 2 players are on that northwest side.
Rotate out. Wiscott, oh, I thought he was sending it there. I think he was breaking out. 2 of them trying to flex through. R8 looking for that regroup, and they find it. They manage to pull themselves back up, grab in the vehicle, not go for the res out wide. Instead, use that little defilade that they've now been able to claim. Prestige backing out as well. Back up to that high ground. Wants the long range oversight, but will have to move back in with this circle shift. Ulf as well, putting pressure in. A potential scout towards GS. Ketch will get that info back to his team.
And for Regnum Kari, you've been able to get quite far into this match. I mean, only have 1 player left remaining, and that's Wild, but Wild is typically the lone survivor for the squad. OG really taking good use of this hovercraft. No one's really looked at them, so they're having this hovercraft far into the late game is really quite a big deal. Nade's starting to pour out over the top now. A little bit of damage surely should be done, but the nades just bounce a little bit too far. Nade swings back down the top side, dribbles down just a little bit. Another one goes through. More damage on towards OG now. 1 player fairly low in Aru. And R8 can maybe leverage this, but a good off angle right now from OG is keeping them at bay.
Oh, another nade, another knock. There's no punishment really being seen. A return. Finally, Marth goes down. There was a third party as well, I think, from Geeke on the high ground to take a shot over towards one of the players from OG who has now been flushed away. Trying to flex out. This is where the off angle from Prestige really needs to come in clutch. Stopping this fight. The smoke's over the ridgeline. They want to keep this momentum going, but R8 back off the angle. The nade's not quite connecting where they need to. Marth potentially? No, it goes too long. The cook not quite right there, but that one's good. A tanky sends it back his way. And Aru again, so low, but not going down just yet.
That is a cracking grenade from Amori over the top towards Wisgod, who's trying to get that off angle towards them. They've laid the smokes down, trying to keep R8 back at this point in time, give them the heavy hand. But right now, it's just not working out. Wisgod likely to go down. Finally, Prestige enters the fray.
Moves in from that off angle. That might actually give OG an opportunity here, but another flush comes through, and R8 now into a 2 versus 4 in their favor. A tanky needs something big, but he only gets 1. There is no answer from the backline, unfortunately. Aru out in the open, caught with his trousers down there, and R8 are going to send them away. 5 elims, though, on the game blank. That's a pretty good result.
Yeah, it's not bad. Gets them back up towards 4th place now, and there really isn't anyone chasing them too hard on the tables. Alpha 7 went down as a VP as well as Wolves earlier on, but there is now teams like trying to make up points with this massive point vacuum at the top from Thundertalk. You're going to start to see these things get very messy towards that top 7 towards the end of today. Ida finding Solus as well, so R8 not done quite yet.
They want a little bit more. Up on the 70-point tallies, we're talking a lot about Thundertalk's security in towards those finals, but over those 70-point margins, that's also looking pretty safe, Blank, all things considered. They've done a lot of work. And they've put in the effort. And at the moment, they're way over the average that they need to be able to see themselves toward those finals. Kara, got 8 elims so far this match, and they want more too. Marceau hops out, looks for the flush, confirms that one, locks it into the bank. As DXavier hold their divot, they've been in there for a long, long time. And actually, Geeke going down. Okay, the descent from the mountaintop, not going to pan out.
I mean, Kara's played this game phenomenally well. I think that's, you can't deny that from Kara. From their initial hold towards Nova Abnoya and then the slow sweep down towards the south side. It has been a real patience game for them and at times really tough, but they've done well off the back of it. Lewis finding catch now as well from Ulf as R8 looks to assault that position. They really only have one option here, which is to try and send down to the rocky outcrop on this south side before they head over towards DRX. DRX has had a bit of circle luck. And no one really has had a shout in, but similarly DRX hasn't really found any points from this position whatsoever. Likely the thing is that if they go down in 2nd place, this game will not be as profitable as most would think. They sort of need to finish this game out with a chicken dinner if they want to have a decent performance off the back of this one. Otherwise it is just sort of another meh game back in their pocket.
I mean, he's got 3 more nades, but finally someone takes a look out his way. And that is going to be the shutdown. And DXavier will fall finally. 5 teams now remaining, Blank. And DRX with this center position. Kara, they've moved 2 players up here. They'll need to regroup back down to their bottom side too. And push in a little bit closer. They might be able to hold the top of the rock for a little bit longer, though. And maybe they'll be able to farm some more eliminations along the way.
I mean, Kara being at 14 eliminations now is very impressive. I think the R8 likely are our utility because they had to throw everything in the kitchen sink to take down OG. They were very resilient during that engagement. But I do think for R8 it might be a little bit tricky going forward. Depends how much they were able to steal away from OG. And that's one thing they certainly did steal away is the hovercraft, which is going to give them a little bit of safety going forward. And especially in these final moments. Again, because OG held on to it for so long, it didn't take any shots. Now it's super useful for this late game as a bit of maneuverable cover. That's a long nade. Feels like the bounce is not too bad, but GS does go down to the circle itself. Aaron gets shut down by Marth, who has just been on a tear all day today.
A huge elim count being racked up still.
Oh
they want
still
more
going
for Kara. And it's going to be Marth actually starting to take those shots out the way. See if he can take them down, but R8 lost a player crucially. Amori got flushed out on that situation, could not make it any further. I'm surprised there's still nades in the pockets for R8, but they've got at least one more here. And they want to try and find the opening to Kara. DRX, they've got everything on side right now. It is a question of who's getting 2nd place in my mind. It's going to be very, very difficult to take DRX out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, for DRX, this is a freebie game, right? They haven't really done much whatsoever. This is one of those games that just gets gifted to you now and again. I think that, again, praise should be going through to teams like R8, teams like Kara, who have manipulated the circle very, very well for themselves. Maybe even I'd go ahead and say OG on that north side. I think that there's like those 3 positions of Kara down on the east, R8 coming through the west, and OG on the north. But for DRX, yeah, there's not much to be said about that squad.
I'm surprised that they haven't moved anyone up to the wall yet or moved out a little bit. They're kind of allowing ground here a little bit. Maybe timid, cowards. No, definitely not. That's a bit too much. But I mean, it should be theirs under control. They know that these 2 teams outside can't really move up unscathed, but Kara are going to give it a go. They're going to have a crack at it. Poser up first, and they slink out wide as well. With
I mean, what is
Lewis
that?
Moving on in. There's a knock over to Hyunbin. I mean, yeah, that definitely shouldn't be happening here. DRX are going to have to go for that res, and that might allow Kara even more leeway. See what CEO's getting up to the wall now. Things are starting to get a little bit dicey as R8 have the pressure of the blue zone pushing up towards them. This is the final zone blank, and it will close dead center on this one. It does go inside the wall, which means that Kara will have to cross that boundary if they want to win this one out.
Yeah, I think that they hope during that knock, I mean, 2 angles is all that DRX has there because one's taken up on the res, that they could finish out this fight as quickly as possible. The blues being a big issue, CEO able to hit a nasty nade again. I think this is a massive game for Kara going forward. Another nade goes slightly far, bobbles just a little bit too much. That's a wild nade coming through, goes straight out to the outer edge of the zone, but smokes is all that's in the way between Kara and R8 in this moment. And finally, DRX starts to make a move.
Kaisei flexes out to the wall there. The angle spotted though in a nade immediately put towards his feet, and he has to dance out the way. DRX starting to get low on nades. They've only got 7 left. R8 are up to the wall as well. They've allowed the entrance to move on in. R8 will go down, but it's Kara to do the dirty, and they will find 2 more eliminations on their tally. A big nade from CEO. Will there be an answer from DRX? They're allowing this to go through, and the smokes there covering so much of their sightline.
I mean, the big difference right now is Kara is incredibly hot coming into this engagement, whereas DRX feeling very cold off this game. They've not done too much. It's the 4v3 and the 19 elims on this game for Kara. The Crows are flying strong here, but they take initial knock. They're trying to get the damage done. Hyunbin alive for the time being. The bullet scraping his backpack.
Not quite able to finish the job though. They swap over to the next vehicle and at least Poser as a solo. DRX finally able to keep themselves standing. Hyunbin gets the res. 1 knock is all they'll find, and Kara denied the 20-point Elim game. They will go down in 2nd place. DRX able to hold their nerve right at the end.
Every single buckle blown off the back of that backpack in those final moments for Hyunbin. But the fact that he stays alive actually is the thing that gives him the chance, because so much time was wasted there for Kara versus Hyunbin. I think if they get that knock, there's a potential for a 3v4. I think Kara is really feeling that game, but still 19 points. That's a 25-point game coming through from Kara. Incredible scenes here at the Gauntlet.
A massive jump up for Kara. That has got to feel real good to be able to leapfrog all the way up the tables as they have just done. We've been waiting for it. We've seen some stuff from them previously in their regional positions, but up until now, sort of a little bit lacking. They did have a 3rd place towards the end of yesterday, but it is good to see them finding a little bit more power into these situations.
Absolutely. And I think for Kara, again, they played it well. They have strong players on side. They're not the most well-known players in the world from their particular region, but they have all played for multiple years and are all veterans of the game, which is very good to see. But again, I think for DRX, it is just a little bit lackluster win. In the meantime, we'll see what the desk had to say about that match.
DRX down in 15th place, so desperately needed a chicken dinner, and they get one right here, right now. Maxman, why was this game so different for DRX? What made them get the chicken dinner as opposed to the performance pretty much for the rest of the tournament so far?
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that question. They got circle gifted. Okay, you want me? Unfortunately, it is a win they desperately needed. Okay, don't get me wrong. They were in 15th position before this game. They were circle blessed. Luckily enough, they do go for that big push onto the side of Kara, as you can see here in this finishing blow moment. And they do get himself some really good swarm moments around Poser, get himself the wrap up, and get himself that chicken dinner. But it was definitely circle blessed. And it is not the win I wanted to see, Niptro, to be completely honest. From them, a bit more presence when they do get eventually a chicken dinner. But you know what? As you stated before we got on the desk here, that give them a little bit more of a confidence boost to finally initiate that ascent in the rankings.
I 100% think that's the case because of the way they switched the flip, or flipped the switch. That's the one. They flipped the switch as soon as they decided, okay, now's the time to go, they went for it. That was the DRX we're used to seeing. So I think now they've got points, they're out of 15th place, they can relax a little bit, take a breath and go, okay, we've got a win. Yes, it was kind of handed to us, but we took it in the end. We've come back to where we need to be. now let's go forward the way we want to play. So I really am hopeful for them now.
I mean, Sizzy, you can look at his face. He's just like, yeah, it's not quite the win we wanted. He's just like,
Hey, we'll take it.
Happy about this game. I love his expression on his player shot.
So
it's great.
good.
But overall, like the numbers coming out from the players are good. Like So Easy 4 eliminations, 1 coming out from Sizzy with 600 plus damage, which is very impressive. Hyunbin, of course, 2. He is my MVP contender for the Gauntlet. Might not happen anymore. It might just be sitting from the side of Thunder Talk here, clearly, Hodrix, unfortunately. But yeah, again, Circle gifted to them. They were able to wrap up the win. So you know what? They were given an opportunity. They were able to strike while the iron was hot. Can't blame them for that. Sometimes Circle just comes your way and you make the most out of it.
Hey, you know what? That's exactly what they did. I'll tell you one team that made the most out of it, even though they didn't get that such a circle blessing, and that was Kara. Oh my gosh. These guys went crazy, Neptura, especially that beautiful nade from CEO onto R8 to take out that side. Oh man, I mean, these guys went crazy. How do you feel about their performance here in this match?
I love it so much. This is the Kara I was expecting to see, Jukes. I mean, look, I saw them yesterday. I went, they're not playing the way they usually play. They usually play center to edge, and they just weren't doing it. I was like, why? Then yesterday in the mirror mark, we saw that a little bit more. Then we get to this game. Big split on the edge, 2-2 split mid game to actually clear as much of the other circle or the other teams in the circle as possible. Exactly what I wanted to see. They went back to their play style. They stopped letting, you know, PMGC be a big pressure on them to change things up. Went back to how they play, and look where it got them.
Well, you know, a team looking at these groups had a really bad time. It was Alpha 7. The glide rotation into also 2 players swimming into Nova itself didn't work out. Unfortunately, they were trying to get scrapped here and they got nothing for their troubles. As though on the northern side, we did see for a bit Aru clapping back versus Thunder Talk. That was a really good double spray and getting 2 eliminations right away. Aru popping off as the IGL and clearly can be a fragger from time to time.
Clutched it, man. I'll tell you what, I mean, we're talking about, you know, the confidence that we're going to see from OG building up. I mean, how much more confidence can you get whenever you take out the top team in the lobby, right? So, I mean, OG, great game for them. We also saw a little earlier, right? We saw GS be able to get the better up onto Virtus Pro. What do you think about that one, Max?
That was fun to see GS actually not go for APG. They understood we can share it, but Hodrix, what do you want to do when you have a perfect military island phase 1 circle? It's just like, well, we're going to have people are going to want to try and contest those locations away. But yeah, GS just showing themselves as a true contender. This is a team, Nipturo, that qualified outside of PMSL MENA with a singular point difference, barely qualifying into PMGC. And this is a complete change-up. This team is looking way more confident, willing to take fights. They're not scared, which is definitely a true sign of success in their adaptation to this kind of lobby. And I do wonder, can they maintain it for the entirety of this PMGC season?
I would love to see that. You see them on the here on the map here now. But yeah, I think also Jafar has been such a key player for them. It's been really nice to see them coming through what needs to be done, and really just helped his team as well here. But that zone,
look at R8. They're like,
dude,
yeah.
I'm like, what?
I saw that, man. What the heck?
And then circle? Cringe. We didn't play circle. What's the circle? I don't know.
Oh
dude, they're still over there when the circle's that small is wild.
That late
Wow, I'm surprised they got as far as they
I was
got
born
then.
in it. Molded by it. And they picked some really good fights. Prestige had a really good off angle in that fight, North versus Orangutan. It really set them up for success. And once they do clear Orangutan, they start holding on the western ridge, which gives them not only just a really good angle to third party, these southern fights. I think you had Ulf, you had Kara. They can easily get a third party opportunity on that. It also keeps them relatively safe. And you can see here, they don't really take too many casualties until they have to push over the ridge, which at that point here, Hodges, we saw the nades of CEO were on point. And because of that, 25 points for Kara here. Outdoing DRX that got the chicken dinner. Kara, maybe this is the start of a great comeback.
It's got to be the start. I mean, come on, right? I mean, these guys, we were waiting for them to be able to put up a big performance. We're waiting for DRX to put up a good game. This is what we were talking about, Neptura, right? We knew that we were going to see some squads perform, and they did not disappoint.
They haven't at all. It's nice to see Ulf as well in the top 5 of these points, right? That's another team we wanted to see more from. And, you know, DRX, we talk about, yeah, you know, they got the win. It was a little bit handed to them, all of this. It's still 17 points. And when the leaderboard is kind of close as we've seen it, that is really what you need. So 17 points going to push them pretty far up those leaderboards, I think, and they'll be able to now use that as a springboard into the next match. So very excited to see what they've got coming for us.
Yeah, Kara, they landed over there in Novo, right? And they just started playing that edge style you were talking about, right, before Neptune. You know, what do you think, you know, when it comes to Kara, right? What's the difference between this game and playing that edge style versus, you know, when we see them go center? Like, what do you think the big difference is for them?
For them, honestly, the difference between the two playstyles, I feel, is how comfortable they are with it. Because they play center early on in the game and then switch to edge. And what we were seeing them do is play edge from the very beginning. And that only meant that they were getting left behind by all these other teams. So I really think that that's where they're going, oh, okay, wait, let's switch back. Let's do what we normally do. They're more comfortable and they can be more creative with it now. As so easy. It's not, hey, it's not Siting. For once, it's not Siting being the MVP of match 2.
Look at this pentagram. It's like healing 0, and then you just have a line 29 minutes survival time. You can barely see it, and then 0 assist. This is the weirdest pentagram graphic I think I've ever seen in PMG's PUBG Mobile eSport history. This is an odd looking one, but 0 healing again, showing that they were circle blessed. They didn't take any unnecessary fights. They weren't over peaking to like take fights that just didn't make sense. They're just like, we're given a free ticket into the late game. Let's use it here, and it worked out.
Yeah, man, oh boy, did it. Look at that. DRX now in 11th place, 37 points. So that's at 9 away from that 7th place position. By the way, guys, if you don't know already, it's 7 spots that are going straight to the grand finals. Everybody else is going to be going to that group stage, right? So looking at these leaderboards, Max, okay, we're about to hit that halfway mark, right? You got Geek all the way at the bottom. What is it going to take for these guys to finally wake up?
Points.
I mean, yeah.
Good. I mean, yeah. I mean, for Geek in particular, I was quite disappointed because they were playing Observatory this game. They didn't do much with it. They were very hesitant, very slow, and Kara just saw an opportunity to kind of do what Geek should have been doing this game. So Geek needs to see a step up, a little bit more confidence being displayed here in these lobbies. And same for any of the bottom teams. APG also, I didn't even do much this game. Neptune, we need to see the APG comeback, and as of right now, it's almost a halfway point. As Hodjuk said, it's getting a little bit late to initiate that comeback.
I know it is, isn't it? And, you know, even as we look at those leaderboards earlier, right, like even a win like from DRX is going 15th to 11th. So APG need to have a lot bigger of a game than even DRX did or Kara. I mean, they really need to shape their next game more like Kara, because Kara went from 11th all the way up to 4th place. 4th.
Wow.
In one game.
That's crazy.
I mean, APG need to be looking at Kara now. I know I keep going on about them, but honestly, I mean, CEO coming in here, 6 eliminations. Yeah. 6. Come on. We know APG can pull those numbers.
I want to talk about Amori for R8. This guy has been consistently on these top 4 player graphics, right? I mean, when you're looking at R8, you're looking at Ida, you're looking at Skuton, you're looking at Marth. Also, there are some really good moments in day 1. But no, Amori is clearly the setup player. I don't think it's intentionally made in a way that he is initially the fragger. He's just a player that finds off angles to set up his team for success, and his off angles are genuinely, Hodjuk, so good. He just gets 3 points, 3 eliminations every single time. So Amori is genuinely a genius when it comes to the off angle plays, and so far it's been really paying dividends in these matches.
Well, you know, that's an interesting point here, right? Because Amori, he is definitely finding those off angles. You know, we saw in that later fight, though, one off angle that was from Prestige, right? Prestige was holding that huge off angle. I think that really set up that fight for them, right? What do you think about Prestige holding that off angle for so long? And then he finally grouped up with his team towards the end, right? But do you think that he should have held that there back a little bit longer, or do you think he joined up right on time with his team?
I think it was used perfectly, actually, in that fight there, Hodjuk. The way he was playing it, relatively passive, I would say. He was just trying to keep Orangutan in check and stop Orangutan from bleeding over that ridge. If Prestige is not in that position, I think Orangutan keep hitting some of those great nades they had in that fight, and they just completely overwhelm R8. Prestige's off angle is the only thing that kept Orangutan in check. So Niptura looking at R8, everyone, it feels like, on the team can pull off angles. I know Marth can do it since spring of this year, so they're just all off angle players. maybe that's the strat.
Honestly, it is kind of the strat. I mean, you see time and time again when you look at fights, very rarely is a fight won by 4v4 just right in front of each other. It's always a sneaky little off angle. It's always somebody wide wrapping that just provides that cover, you know, pushes a team into a corner and stops them from doing what they need to do to defend themselves well. So, you know, it is, if you have a team of all off angle players, honestly, I find that that's probably like one of the best strats you can possibly have, just because it gives you that flexibility to do whatever you want and surprise them however you can.
Yeah, definitely. Though, looking at this graphic of the top 4 players, we've been on this one for a while. I kind of like how CEO is grabbing his logo. I don't know, it's just like
Yeah,
That had to be intentional, right?
Yeah. I mean, you look at this performance of CEO, it makes sense why he was on SGG. If you guys don't know, by the way, little history lesson for CEO, he was on SGG. He was part of the biggest org in Turkey. That shows how much potential this guy actually has. He was part of the rising older generation of PUBG Mobile eSport, and he's still putting up numbers. So CEO, I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to, again, put up the numbers and contest the likes of maybe Regnum Karia moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, they already passed them up, so they're feeling pretty dang good going into these final matches. I'm looking right now at the leaderboards, right? Because with this next match, we're going to hit our halfway point here, right? So 7th place is that cutoff, Neptura. Looking on down, it's pretty close, right? I mean, we can see pretty much, I mean, even Alpha Gaming, they're all the way down there in 14th place with 27 points. That cutoff right now is GS with 46, right? So, you know, how many more games do you think Alpha Gaming have to kind of breathe here, you know, before they need a chicken dinner? Or do you think like this Erangel match, it's time for them to put up some points? What do you think?
I honestly want to say like maybe one more game, but the way that the rest of the teams have been playing, I feel like we're starting to see some teams step up that haven't been stepping up so far. They're starting to come alive. They're starting to do what they need to do. So maybe one game is too late. I'm not entirely sure. I think it really does depend on how this next game goes. So yeah, maybe they do have one game. Maybe, I think. Because Regnum's starting to do stuff. Ulf's starting to do stuff. DRX, Wolves, they're all doing it. So APG, like one max.
Okay, one for Breathing Room, Max. Do you agree?
I would agree. I think that's a decent sample size to have for them to try and do a little bit of a jump up in the leaderboards. I mean, everyone's looking at APG, of course, trying to initiate that comeback. I'm looking at E-Arena. I'm going to look at the team that's below them right now.
Yeah.
They're in 15th position. They're just 1 point behind APG with 26 points for themselves. It's not impossible for them to catch up to top, but I was very impressed with how E-Arena, the players individually especially, were playing back at PMWC. They dominated this most recent PMSL SEA season, and I was very how they were going to play here, and unfortunately, they've just not been able to follow through with those initial promises we had earlier this year. I'm hoping E-Arena can make it, because it would fit. Already, we don't have Bigatron, by the way, from SEA, which that alone feels weird. But if we don't see Arena make it, and maybe Dig Xavier, if we go like worst case scenario for SEA, I would be so sad, Hot Jukes. We need to see one of them at least make it to the finals. Please, I'm begging.
Please, please. I can't tell you. I was talking to you about this at the start, before the tournament even started, right? I was like, man, how do we not see Bigatron here, right? And it is the first PMGC in Bangkok, Thailand, right? It hurts to see, but hopefully EA could definitely happen here. I mean, it's definitely not too late, even for a team like, you know, Geeke, who's all the way last place right now. 18th, I mean, I don't think they have any room at this point. I mean, I think it's putting up double-digit points here and now if you want to have a chance at top 7, because, I mean, you're right, Neptura. A lot of these teams are performing so dang well. You really can't wait towards tomorrow for sure.
Oh, absolutely not. It's going to be far too late for that. I mean, we have seen big things from some of these teams in the final day, APG in particular, that like to just bring out an entire different APG to how it's been the last 2 days, but I wouldn't count on it. I think the lobby is too stacked. These other teams are sick up too early. That, you know, we're seeing things from Ulf. They're starting to make more moves. I mean, EA are starting to do, we've seen some things from them. It's a bit early just yet. No, they haven't been doing exactly what we wanted them to do, but there is still time for them to do it. And I think so there's a lot of questions, I think, for the lower half of the leaderboard, because there's going to be the top half of the leaderboard that are just going to take advantage of that slowness now, because they've already stepped up to the plate. Now that makes it more difficult for the others.
I want to touch upon your point of Ulf stepping up a little bit, doing a bit more. They are definitely a little bit more present in the later stages, but they're still not as aggressive as I would like to see them be. Like,
No,
you have Solace.
Yeah.
Again, you have like the Rising Star touched him many times. Aaron, there was great play on Zeus last year during PMGC. They are not. Then actually, I'm going to be very harsh here, Hotrix. They're nowhere near the level of play that I know these guys can provide in these matches.
Sure.
They're nowhere near. I want to see a big change up because at this current pace, I don't think they deserve to be in the finals. So I need to see them at least attempt to take fights, and that alone would give me a little bit more hope that Ulf maybe could make it to the next step and reach the finals.
Well, that's totally fair. We've seen a lot of teams on that second page do it. Will Ulf be able to do it right here, right now? Let's see if it's going to happen. Let's go ahead and take it on over to John and Blank to wrap up the first half of the Gauntlet.
Alrighty, let's go for another Erangel. We'll see if we're going to get another military island. It would be interesting. It would be exciting. But we are going to be heading on in. My name is John Allen. With me is, of course, Blank. And we're going to be getting stuck into this one. A close down at the end there for DRX to keep things under control. But we'll have to maintain a hopeful situation that we'll see something a little bit better from them this time around, even if it will result in a win. I would much just prefer to see another Kara performance.
The 19 Elim game was phenomenal. Very, very fantastic stuff to watch unfold. And I mean, overall, their game plan was pretty solid from start to finish. Sadly, weren't able to take on DRX. And again, it's from basically an open field with a couple of trees versus an entire compound. So DRX definitely had some advantage there, as well as having a bit more utility in those final moments. The fact they're able to hold them off for so long, it's like one of those situations where Kara, if they don't get that initial couple of knocks on towards DRX, they don't finish off R8, and I think that both get swarmed by DRX in that end game. But this is a west to east playing path. Very kind one, first kind one we've seen today. We'll see where the circle ends up here. Thunder Talk taking a slightly different approach from last game, luckily for us, because that last one was a bit weird, honestly, overall. But we are heading over towards the eastern edge of the map, around Rozhok, Potato Hill area, just south of Yaz. So still Yaz Field in this one, John, but plenty of fun compounds to play this one out.
Yeah, we are going to see maybe a little bit of a diversion for Thunder Talk. Of course, they are close to Kara, though, so maybe a little bit of danger there. In general, we'll be keeping an eye on that Milta area. The circle a lot more centered towards that Potato Hill zone in the middle. A little scrap for Alpha Gaming, and actually, they're going to be able to win this time at the start of the game against one of the players from Wolves. They can't quite get there in time to pick him up, as Coops will be taken down. We are going to be heading to a little interview with Poser himself from Kara after that incredibly massive game. 19 elims. Let's find out how they did it. Oh, maybe not just yet. We've got about 20 seconds before that one. But either way, they are going to be tuning in for it. It was incredibly monumental. They were on for maybe a 23 elimination chicken dinner, Blank. But
welcome back to a quick report with the 7WG. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new record for eliminations and none other than Kara Esports. I have Poser here with me. You guys were working those 2-2 splits wonderfully this last match. When did you decide to go to E-Arena?
Bu son maçta 2-2 oynamakla çok güzel oynadınız. Ne zaman Arena'ya üstüne saldırmayı düşünmediniz?
Nova'nın içindeyken alan bizden çektiğinde Arena ile oynarımız aynıydı. Ondan sonra ilk önce kıyı temizledik, sonra da onları temizledik. Adım adım iyi oynadık.
So the circle actually go on our gameplay with Arena. So when we saw that, we first clear the edge and then we jump on them.
And with this performance, I mean, it's going to shoot you up the leaderboard. What does that mean for the team?
Valla bu puanlama sizi sıralamada üst kısma çıkarttı. Nasıl hissettin bu takım için?
Şu an özgüvenimiz daha da yerine geldi. İhtiyacımız olan böyle bir maçtı. Henüz potansiyelimizi göstermedik. Daha yeni başlıyoruz.
So we got our confidence backs up, and then with this, we will show our performance that we can do better.
Hey, I'm hoping it continues on. 19 eliminations. I know the Turkish crowd is going to be hyped. Back to you guys.
Absolutely. It would be brilliant to see if they can carry that forwards. It is, however, very rare to see teams have two performances like that in a tournament. It would be something special. But we can always hope. Thunder Talk, though, they've definitely had more than one of those performances. It is a rarity.
Thunder Talk definitely a rarity in our games overall. 100 points hit the century. Weren't able to get anything done on the last match, but again, they hit triple digits and thought themselves, let's take a short break. And we'll get right back to it over on the next angle here. Let's take a look at the leaderboards right now. There is that big jump off from third place down to fourth, with Mad Bulls in third place dropping down towards Kara with 55 and OG at 51. But as you can see, it's around 10th place where we see our next real big fall off from 44 to 37. So there is a lot of teams battling out for this top 7 here. And it should make for an incredibly fun final day tomorrow, where all the teams could be dipping in and out from that top 7.
We get a little replay on Doc getting the spray down onto Coops. They couldn't quite get away unscathed with the vehicle. Doc happy to have that point on side. A nice pickup found there. As we hop towards the middle of the circle, though, we're on board with Regnum Kaya, who have managed to take a very, very central compound, really important position as well, with a lot of sight lines out to control all the teams who are very likely going to be moving in fairly soon. We're now into our 6th minute of the match. And we'll see just who's going to be on the road nice and quickly. Hopefully, yeah, Thunder Talk, they're already moving. So we're not going to see another massive delay until, what is it, like zone 8 or something like that. And they decided, oh yeah, we should probably get towards the circle. R8 did it too, though. So, you know, it's not just them.
It isn't. I mean, it was possible. I mean, it was fun watching that little breakdown of the paths taken with RA really on a bit of a journey themselves down from that northwest side, starting just underneath Alpha 7 there, but having way more success from their position. I mean, even just to get in on that western side anyway was very, very tough. I mean, there was so many teams there at the start of the game. I do think Virtus Pro going down so early actually opened up a little bit more possibility for space taking on the western side of Sosnovka. So some fortuitous stuff did happen. I think for Kara, they didn't quite get that benefit. They really did have to fight it out for that position, indicated by obviously the amount of eliminations they were able to pick up in that last game. You got OG here on our screens, just the western side of Shelter. Just waiting to see what they want to do next in terms of scouting, where players are coming from. Regnum Kaya left fairly early from their position, headed around where Dip is. And we'll just hold that out. With Ulf coming in from the northwest side, that is something they'll have to worry about in the short future.
Alpha 7 moving in on that north edge. Over that Rostock Bridge, uncontested on the crossing. A little bit more treacherous down towards the south. R8 moving out now from South George. They're moving around the foothills of Everest, trying to head out east. Behind the Mad Bulls, though, they will, if they want to go over the north side of Pachinki, they'll have to go through the Mad Bulls there, or try and find another way around to try and get into this one unscathed. It's easier said than done. Although Mad Bulls, they're leaving players over in Sunken. They wanted to control that bridge crossing to the north, I suppose. Get a little bit of info, a little bit of scouting from Tulika on the Mad Bulls. As GS move over the north, they're heading over the north of the Yaz Lake.
I mean, I think for E-Arena, heading down this way is not too bad. But again, we haven't really seen that early game prowess from E-Arena so far. I mean, round Geekay as well. Yasnaya is easily shared. With only 2 players there, I am slightly worried for them slightly. I think the rest of the team needs to get back in action soon. The Mad Bulls, though, like you're saying, over on that Western Rozhok side, coming through past school towards Chopsticks. This is always such a weird starting circle for a lot of our squads, just purely because what they're struggling with right now is deciding where they want to play going forward. Because as we head into zone 2, like there's plenty of positions which are very, very valuable, but just not quite yet, because we don't know where it's centering up. Now we know that you kind of want to take some of these farm compounds nice and early, potentially even some of these positions underneath Potato Hill. Even playing over towards the southern side of the coast is not bad here.
I mean, it makes the decision-making process a little bit easier. The execution phase, though, a lot more tricky for our IGLs, for our teams to try and enact their plans now. Everybody on a mad dash south, trying to get into a very limited set of positions. Ulf got to be charging in from that north side, a little bit split. They've got a backstop there for Solus, trying to regroup. Regnum Kaya clashing with DRX on the inside of a compound. But you've got Ulf putting pressure on the north. You can't afford to go for a crash, as well as on the south coast entirely in the warehouses. DX Xavier Wolves going back and forth here. Lambo needs a pickup now. Paragin has to put the pin back in to save his teammate. Will be able to start that one. And Nate moves forward, securing it. They are on the inside. They should be fairly safe, but will they be allowed to get this res? Because there's more threat from the Wolves around the corner, and that's going to be Levi's taken out in the midst of it all. The Xavier having a tough time on this pro.
With Paragin going down, Lambo going down there is very, very tough for DXA because they wanted a lot more speed on that one. And Levi's expected some backup on the side there. That wasn't meant to be a 1v1. That was meant to be a 2v1. Paragin getting taken out by Top, and Gara immediately picking up the elimination point for that. Goodness me. DXA and Wolves now just bottom of the pecking order right now. That's unfortunate. I think DXAV can't really leave from this building either with the two sightlines that are set up here, John.
And they only got 2 elims for it as well, Blank. They weren't able to extract the full 4. They weren't able to do any more than that, which is unfortunate. You could excuse it maybe, you know, if you're able to get up to 4 points, right? And then, no matter what, it's an okay game. You will keep yourselves in the conversation for 7th place, where DXAV currently sits right now. And they need every match they can get. We know how volatile the middle of these tables are going to be with the number of points that Thunder Talk are earning. And Kara having that oversight, they'll be all too happy to snaffle away any points that dare to step out of line.
So, I mean, the center of the circle is pretty packed right now. You've got Kara and the Regnum Kari just above them, and the DRX holding quite central, but in an open zone. Mapple spots the team crossing along the way. It is GS, and they're happy to chase this one down with a mobile turret in the vehicle. It's 3 players in 3 cars, so I think they're assuming they can take those shots quite frequently, but they decide to back it off. They don't want to deal with that angle for too much longer, and a building gets taken up by GS. It is on the northern side of the zone, though, so it is not massively likely it's going to end up there, but it will give GS a little bit of a long breath, right? A bit of relief in this match. That is
enough.
a
Doran goes down.
Nade.
What a post through the letterbox there on the nade. Beautiful stuff. Didn't even need a stamp. CEO able to hand deliver that one. Lovely stuff. Able to pick up the pieces as well. Now they're going to have to move a little bit further west, potentially. I mean, Kara should be able to hold this angle. We'll see if they're able to do so against Thunder Talk, who are moving in on that coast side too.
It's hard to make the correct decision on this one because as we head further down towards the south side of the map, it slopes downwards, right? So you don't really want to play those positions. I think Alpha Gaming actually has a very good chance from their spot. They have a lot of high ground oversight here. The issue is they're going to have to play that late game a little bit more aggressively as the circle probably will move away from them. I think R8 has one of the more fixed positions inside of the circle. It's a lovely compound to play around with. Leaving it is slightly difficult because you do need to wrap around towards that northwest side. But in this instance, it's really good because I don't think they're imagining that it's going to be a hard west shift on the circle. So this just gives them nice 180 oversight towards their eastern edge. And that's a lot of information to be gained off the back of that one. OG making a mad dash along the way over towards a small building they can potentially play the rest of the game in.
Actually diverting one out to the shack as well. So they have got multiple angles. A run-up made a little bit harder because of that. With 4 players alive, I'm only seeing 3 in the middle there. Or maybe they are all 4 packed in. We'll have to wait and see just how they can hold the dead center here. They're in a little bit of a valley, Blank. So it is very much a standoff. They are committing to this location. It will be very, very difficult, if not impossible, to leave it. So they need to get the value in the mid-game here with elims.
Yeah, I think it's a risky play, but it's high value reward if this does continue to center up because it's very much open ground around them. Like you say, leaving through that open ground is treacherous, but if they have to deal with teams walking up towards them, it should be a fairly easy hold. So I think for OG, it's a case where you play this position and like you say, you are just committed to it now. But it is fairly central. They had no real other options other than playing sweep on the edge. And I think they're more comfortable playing this anyway. They're quite decent when it comes to holds. So we'll see what OG can do from this spot. It's a slightly early commit though at stage 3. But because it is so dead central and in a compound, I think you make that call here and now.
Jafar angles over towards Virtus Pro, the rest of GS as well. They moved out to the north side to try and have a breather, but they're being crushed down a little bit here. Virtus Pro have to turn around. They don't want to get stuck into that anymore. Little sweet drift there for Virtus Pro. Maybe they're reorienting. Maybe they do want to get stuck in. Okay, no, they're just biding their time. and leaving tire marks on the grass. Someone's got to look after that. That's very inconsiderate to the groundskeepers.
It is indeed. Undertalk playing down towards the southern docks as all 4 players. There is a chance it does go down towards that south side. It's not always the greatest and latest of positions, but with a little cover and the little positions available in that spot, docks is not that bad. The question is how well you can hold it as a solo team. It does get to those points later on where you end up sharing that position on the east and the western side of it, often leaving the warehouse open as it's a bit easier to nade out. But I think that for Thundertalks, this is a good spot to play in going forward. Now, OG has an option now because most teams are going to have to wrap around on the east and the west side, is whether they want to move a little bit close to the circle, play out in the open with some vehicles, or just stick to their guns.
Refus on the inside, not going to win that one. The Arena able to find it in an immediate shutdown. Alpha Gaming not in a position to go for the backup there, and Ziol caught out in the open by R8 across the way. That's a couple of 100 meters out there. A long shot coming on through. In the meantime, Geeke, Regnum Karya clashing on the inside here. You've got DRX on the north of this fight too. Those nades are coming on through, but it is Regnum Karya to draw first blood. However, it's traded off. Flushes need to come through now, and Safji will be able to find it. Unfortunately, it is taken down in the process. Kevin on the outside, though, looking to try and hunt down more Regnum Karya players here as he steps forward to Loxy. Low HP on Zedwall. Can't really step too far in, but with a shotgun to play against, you know it's probably not super likely that you are going to go down through the consistent spray. Regnum Karya, however, go down to DRX on the approach, and that is going to be an overwhelming force from DRX on the north side. Not timid this time around.
I think the craziest thing is Kara gets a shot in there, by the way, from all the way down the southwest side, able to pick up Loxy as he jumps out the building. Regnum Karya just melted under the pressure there, and DRX actually pick up a fairly decent spot for themselves, all in that short moment of time. I think they'll be very pleased with how that one turns out. In comes Ulf over towards Thundertalk's position. Again, like I said, this is a large area, difficult to hold as 4 players, and they're trying to gauge where exactly the Thundertalk players are currently. Luckily for Thundertalk, they always have this angle up top side. APG doing a good job to protect them from any target that comes towards them, and some fantastic nades are being lobbed up their way to secure some more points.
Goodness me, Ulf, they try and move into the hills on the north side of this compound, but they're denied entry. Everybody with the third-party angles. Aaron, though, has actually managed to make it for the south side, so a last player alive for Ulf. Hello. In the meantime, Doc now has more Arena players to worry about. 3 players actually taking shots out his way. You can see the rest of them trying to move through. He's forced out wide and taken down as soon as he moves. Sakura clocks him. And now Top has to try and find something in response because Doc is not getting back up.
Yeah, it's a good third party coming through from E-Arena. They noticed there was fighting going down on this side, but it seemed to be only one player. But RA currently in an engagement between them and VP. One player left alive for R8 and nowhere near this engagement. It's Prestige. Looks to send some Molotovs in. It's a good position to throw them out, but VP immediately moving forward. Amori in the backlines in the shack, priming a nade of his own. It's a long toss on it. A big gamble, but doesn't hit on target.
Prestige down in the smoke has been spotted now. Voston keeps his head on the swivel, spots the player down in the dirt, and leaves Amori the last to stand for R8 across the road. And actually, OG are moving in on that north side, so that could be a big problem in their very near future. I think Alpha Gaming did just go down. E-Arena able to finish the job as the circle goes back towards the center of this one, leaving those cliff tops out of it.
Yeah, I mean, OG can continue to play on this north side, but again, it's this question of where do they go next? I mean, luckily, because they cut out so much of their position on that northern edge, they don't really have too many teams watching in of where they're going to be maneuvering next to. I do like the way Thundertalks is currently playing this, though, is where they're not splitting up into a singular area on docks because they don't want to give an opportunity for a team like Ulf there to swing all the way around and crash into a singular part of the docks. Instead, they're spread across it. They take fire as teams come in and then rely on teams playing on the cliff to basically do the job for them once they lodge them on that hillside just to the north of it. It's an interesting play, and it's working out very, very well for Thundertalks.
E-Arena going to have to make a move, and maybe Thundertalk will take some shots out their way, but I think Virtus Pro are going to be more preoccupied with holding them out. Maybe a drop down the cliff face. Maybe go for a swim here for E-Arena. Tourniquet certainly taking that option. The question is, will they be spotted? Alpha 7, they're biding their time on the southeast side, but they do have to make a charge across the open ground here towards Mad Bulls, or, well, what's left of the Mad Bulls, rather. There's only 2 still standing there.
game's going to slow down a lot, but Kara actually has a very strong spot to work with. There are 4 players as well looking for another huge game for themselves. They also have been consistently taking pot shots at teams, so they've been very proactive from their position. Even if there is a squad 200, 300 meters out, they've been very aware and been taking shots that way. And the more casualties that they can cause within this lobby, the easier their end game is going to become, because again, as teams start to get crunched towards the center here, more and more fights are going to be taking place out in the open, and these are not fights where it's likely you're going to live with 4 of your players. You're likely going to have to sacrifice 1 or 2 just to win an engagement.
So seeing they're actually stepping out onto the docks for Thunder Talk, and Aaron laying low, not wanting to get involved, may have sightlines on it. The question is, does he want to pull the trigger here, expose his position, let them know he's there? Tony K moving up to the pontoon there, trying to hold it down. I have no doubt that Aaron knows exactly what's going on here, and he is opting not to take these shots. You just can't confirm the point. It's much more valuable to play with the protection of Thunder Talk around you and try and play for it later.
Oh
Tony K steps up and he wins that? How on earth do you win that? Stepping up out of the water, draws the weapon, and immediately lands the shot of the Shing. That's got to feel real bad on the south side there. And that's going to move King out to have to go for this res, to have to try and pick up their teammate. This is Aaron's time to shine. And he steps up and does exactly what he needs to. That is what he was waiting for. And Thunder Talk are having a nightmare here.
Oh, this is very bad indeed. Thunder Talk likely down to 2 players. We're seeing it's going to be a difficult pickup from their side. Completely lost track of Tony K as well. And that's one of those things where you only send out 1 player. You know he's in the water, so you look to just finish him off, but you do not expect the 4th player from Ulf to still be alive on the other edge. Dear me, we are surfing here over on the docks. And Thunder Talk are currently dealing with the tsunami. Okay.
Side shift. They have to push out, so they're going to have to leave here as well. This does mean that they can just fully disengage and look to leave these solos to their own devices, but that's going to be difficult because you've got Virtus Pro and Kara who are going to know all about what's happening here.
Quick knock from OG down towards Virtus Pro. I mean, it's a good time to be doing it as the circle starts to close inwards, but Voston with an immediate response over towards that top side, gets a good shot over towards the tanky, leaving just him and Aru there. And the question is whether Virtus Pro even want to go for a wraparound on that side. I mean, OG has to call for some slight reinforcements here.
I mean, it is good news, I think, on the north side for OG. And they've got enough to play with. That cover, that re-knock over towards Virtus Pro. They didn't need to get the flush there. They just needed to slow Virtus Pro down, force them into an unfavorable fight. Tony K may have bit the dust, and he will indeed go down to the nade from AJ. Only the 1 player to go down from Thunder Talk, and it could have been worse. But Aaron really bided his time well there. He played the time perfectly, and actually maybe afforded an opportunity to have a chance to get another point or 2.
Yeah, currently we're in the top 10, so 3 more teams would have to go down before we start hitting placement points. DRX holding on to their position quite nicely as GS attempted to assault their position. Hyunbin on the top stairs, looking for Icon right now.
In the meantime, the roll-up for Virtus Pro is dismantled on that northwest side. Unfortunately, there is a knock sent back over towards them. GS finally going down there. But it is going to be OG holding quite well. The reses, though, are starting to come through. There's the first flush coming in, and there is, unfortunately, the re-knocks coming in from Virtus Pro. They stop, though. They move sideways, move laterally on the fight. And OG not going to be able to connect these nades if they haven't spotted it. Will they put them in the right place here as the nades bob forwards? Not quite on the target. Haven't seen the retreat here, but AJ, Thunder Talk, they're all sailing on in. Virtus Pro now have another team, and the vehicles swinging around wildly. What is going on? OG, move in, get these knocks, get these points here, because Thunder Talk are moving the slivers of HP.
Going down?
Virtus Pro go down, and 3 players from Thunder Talk still stand tall, but OG, they've taken a knock. What have Thunder Talk just done? What?
I mean, DRX were taking shots across the way at OG whilst that all was unfolding. I don't know how Thunder Talk gets away with it, but they absolutely do. AJ with the run down the vehicle, smearing VP across the fields. And now AKOP trying to get his HP bar back up again. A nade sent across towards the tree, slightly lagging behind the rest of the team. A nade sent along the edge of the blue here could be devastating. And it is close, but not close enough.
going to be able to find it there. Stepping out towards the blue. ThunderTalk get back in the vehicles, playing true chaos strategy there on the roll up to VP. There was nothing they could do, it seemed. He's going to be running out of ordnance fairly soon. Drops the last, covers his retreat with that flash. That's going to allow ThunderTalk to disengage. Play on as 3 from here, which is crazy. Kara, I don't think they're going to be able to do the same thing, but I don't think they need to. With the circle as it sits, they keep in on the south side, and they may be able to find a chicken dinner this time around where they couldn't quite before.
Yeah, it's a very strong position, but again, we are still going out into open ground now. I think OG's got to be a little bit careful because DRX knows exactly where they're playing from, but know they need to move down towards that south side. So DRX looking to set themselves up early or just rotate into the building along the way from Kara. Lewis does have a nade. Marceau sets himself up. It's a bit of a short lob, but it's on target. Soez gets knocked out with a nade to the forehead.
Hits him with the swift underarm there. Nice little knockdown. Nearly getting Hyunbin. The pan coming in clutch there to stop the DXavier shots. The shots from across the way. Taking him down on the rooftop. A really difficult res to go for. You have to drop down. It's bad news. DRX have been able to get a lot of elims so far this match. It seems like they heard me call them a little bit cowardly last time around. They're already up to 10 here, Blank. And they want to add 4 more to the tally. See if they can break records themselves as they move on forwards. The flash comes through. The nade goes through to the back. Hyunbin goes 1-for-1 on the trade. The DRX have the flash sent their way. Drops down in the middle. Lewis holding the back lines, and there's only the one player for DRX faced off against 2 on the inside.
ThunderTalk just rock straight up over towards DXavier and handle them. This is so weird from ThunderTalk considering it's a very different style of gameplay from them we're used to seeing. Good nade from Nate T himself over towards Singh, leaving ThunderTalk, I believe, just on the final player now as OG remains stalwart on that north side.
They can get the reses in the shack for ThunderTalk, though. There are still 2 of those available. The question is, does DXavier have a nade? Stow Kara on this hold. Poser is down. But they're getting that rezzed up very quickly. DRX slowed it all the way out here. You can see they're on 10 elims still, but with only 2 players, the wind's been knocked out of them just a little bit. QXZ wants to try and drop down there. He will get the shot. Over at the Poser, the relock is strong. Going to keep Kara from overwhelming them on the repeats here. He goes in for more. He wants to find another, but there's his teammate going down. Lewis steps out, put into a shotgun, a barrel straight into his face, and Lewis goes down as well. They will finally take him down, but they lose a player, and they have to get these reses fast, Blank.
Over the top tries to thread it in towards the shack, but a good shot from AKOP will take down Sighting almost instantaneously as well. They got to figure out how they want to play this one out because, again, for OG, they are passing through open ground. I think for ThunderTalk, they desperately want to get rid of DXavier, but Nate, immediate reposition from his side. This is a good survival play for him. Again, DXavier has been on the receiving end of survival plays for quite some time now. We haven't seen a truly dominant game from DXavier just yet.
It's disappointing as well, given their prowess, given their record this year. They've had a really, really strong showing, but it's just not coming through yet in the Gauntlet. We'll see what more they can do. Nades being thrown out by ThunderTalk still.
It's good,
right, they got anything left and they find an opening. You're kidding me. ThunderTalk just seem untouchable here. Nading Aru off the tree, doing a lot of damage. That's going to be unresable now. The rotate out wide. AKOP needs to stand tall. Will be able to do 1 and a second as well. The double knockdown, but across the way, there's still a 3rd player for ThunderTalk going. It's all up the WizGod. It looked like OG might have had the game under control there, but Kara now with the numbers advantage.
I'm just so confused of what ThunderTalk's doing in this game. Sighting sending it out again over towards OG. It's like a completely different type of ThunderTalk this game. Nate maybe going for the 1v3. CEO is able to put him down, fires him from the company, and at least will be able to remain up and present. WizGod moves up and in the meantime was able to take down ThunderTalk. Now, it's a 1v1 technically as the blue continues to push in.
I think they've got time to get these reses off, Blank. The blue zone's not going to move for a couple more seconds. They may just be able to get through. Marceau will heal. Poser will be able to get up and step out for another sightline. Unlikely that Poser's going to be able to heal, though. Actually, they might still have time here. They do. Goodness me. This means a full 3 for WizGod to be able to have to deal with here, and he doesn't have any nades in hand. With a nade, this could go a different way, but I feel like WizGod might be able to find 1 or 2, but the 3, I'm not sure. When Marceau goes out, drops the smoke train towards him. They know exactly which rock he's on. As soon as they get in range, they don't have the nades either. Steps out, and that's a little sliver of HP taken away, and he doesn't have any meds to play with. This is nasty.
Big stun grenade. WizGod just has to hide it out for the time being. But it's looking close. Can WizGod close this down? It's looking slightly unlikely. Regardless, he has been through the war zone this game and will go out valiantly. But it will be Kara to come off from a second place and 19 points into a chicken dinner. What a sweep from these guys.
With 11 elims, they find another game really, really strong. It felt like they were the winners in that last match. This time, it rings true. That south side shift playing well to their compound. And Kara are on a massive resurgence here. It's what Neptura said she wanted to see from them over on the desk, while she's being treated to a repeat there. Orangutan as well, playing very well on that northern side, doing a lot to control. It was just so unfortunate that Thundertalk somehow are able to apparate wherever they want to within the circle. That was some crazy rotates coming in.
Oh, bro, I just couldn't believe we were just watching Thundertalk just go alpha lever in the vehicles. It made absolutely no sense to me, John. It was like watching them go from tactical gameplay to suddenly, you know what? We're just going to give it our all here. Get in the vehicle, put the metal to the pedal, and just get things going.
Yeah, it's really quite impressive how they were able to do it. But I have no idea just what happened there for Thundertalk. I'm sure the analysts do. Let's take a look.
And rest of card just able to support those angle great shots. And big stuff coming in from them.
I don't know why in my mind this was a back-to-back Kara win because they got such a elimination. I'm like, wait, in place. It was DRX that did end up winning. I'm like, but no, it almost was a win in terms of how many points they did bring home after that first Erangel game of the day. They're going through the replays here. I think we were quite critical about Alpha Gaming. Why do we take this unnecessary fight versus E-Arena in the double warehouses? They could just hug the cliff and they would have been just fine. Easy access into the late game here where top is on this replay. And they decide against it. That was a big fumble in my opinion.
I'll take it one step further, Max. I'd say that once EA were in the building, they should have let it go. But why are they in the building in the first place? But Turney K coming in here, EA. I mean, this was insane, just insane.
He's like, I am Tony K. He's going to rename. He's taking Tony K's name now. He's him.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy after crazy play. I loved this game so much. It was just, what was this game? It's just such chaos. Back-to-back chaos in the end game. I did so much.
Look, you're going to see Kara barely. You're going to see them barely move this high again. Okay, even E-Talk, technically, they dropped Milta, so they didn't have to do this game. game. Orangutan also similar, drop in shelter, playing the northern side. Everyone got in position pretty much phase 1, positioning into phase 2, and then they didn't move much for the rest of this game because there's so many compounds open for the taking early on in this game. They just go there, play it for as long as they possibly can, and hope the circle does eventually favor you towards the end, which it did for Kara. Actually, Kara did do a really nice 2-2 split there. You did see for a second there, 2 players north of the road, 2 players south, to just keep their options open, Iptera, and here clearly that was a position that enabled them to get easily into the later stage while really taking no fights at that point.
Yeah, it was really nice because they were able to regroup and know when to regroup as well. As soon as DRX started making too many moves, they were like, you know what, it's not worth it. We're going to go over here. And it really did work for them because look where that zone takes them. It doesn't take them out that compound hardly at all. Only until they're up against just one player left did they have to move out of that compound. So really, really worked out in their favor. And 21 points. Remember, they jumped 7th to 4th place after the game. Now with 21 additionally, where on earth is that going to put them now?
Oh my, are you it's ridiculous? I mean, yeah, they had 5 now 21 at 46 in 2 games, Max, man. Wow. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, even talks probably gonna worry about that sooner. They get another game like this. So, what a crazy finish for Kara. I mean, Thunder Talk had that crazy push right onto Virtus Pro. My question is to you, Max Man, right? Do you think they do that if they're not in first place with such a big lead, or do you think that is just so typical to talk at this point?
I do think, Hodges, there's a certain level of we've made it, let's have fun with it. No,
right?
Again, we know. Oh, by the way, congratulations Leo from Kara being the MVP. Always surprised. Probably going to be MVP of the day to be completely. But yeah, look, I think there's a certain level of life made it, be comfortable. Let's just try and flex out possible and just not secure their positions. Playing very aggressive, which actually kind of hurt them right now, Iptera, because they lost 2 players to Aaron. And of course, we did have a Tony K coming in from the arena, also getting the clutch. Maybe they're getting almost comfortable. They're doing some big plays, but you know what? As of right now, it's enough because they still are first with 111 points, 3 wins. Thunder Talk, yeah, they're done. They're in. You're the first team in the Gnolls alongside Vampire. You did it.
So good. So good to see. I love that play. It's chaos, and I want to see, honestly.
Dude, I mean, just look at Kara. 3rd place with 76 points in total. Like, again, in the 2 games, they have outperformed these teams in their entire day's performance, Max. How crazy is that?
And they were in the middle of them. It's been a quick comeback story in Kara. They're still quite a bit away from Thunder. They've just been so damn consistent as a team. But you know what I do want to highlight is the fact that RA are still holding strong onto that second. Right, of course, they're currently tied between third place between them and Kara. This, you would have showed genuinely towards at the start of the Gauntlet and say, this is what we're going to have at the halfway point of that. Say, no way. This is a big, like all the and a lot of the teams that are rising star respective regions are at the top. What is going on? PMGC so naked and
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Halfway through day 2 of the Gauntlet here, and I'm with none other than DRX Hyunbin, a team that has been able to make a big jump up in regards to points. They won 11th place, 19 points. Today, they have scored 51 points, especially with the performance here in Erangel. Hyunbin, you've gotten a win in Erangel. You just got a good performance as well. What was the biggest adjustment you guys have made in day 2 for Erangel?
저희 DRX 팀이 어제보다 오늘 점수 엄청 많이 먹었어요. 혹시 어제보다 오늘 좋은 점이 뭐라고 생각하고 있어요?
어제 저희가 했던 운영 방식이 좀 많이 맞지 않았던 것 같아갖고 오늘은 이제 운영적인 부분을 좀 많이 바꿔서 한 것 같습니다.
I think that our team has